Well, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podcast this week. It is the WBC featherweight champ of the world, Bruce Shu Shu Carrington. And Bruce, before we get going, I'll let my people know what we're talking about. You have a first title defense, always a big one. Coming up, you'll take on Rene Palacios July 4th. It'll be on DAZN as well as on the linear cable channel TNT at Cleveland University's Wolstein Center. On the top ranked card that's headlined by another world champion making his first defense, the hometown guy, Abdullah Mason, taking on Joe Cordina. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you. Yeah. First title defense is always, super exciting. I feel like that's where you really mark yourself as a true champion. Winning the title is one thing, but defending it is when, you're truly crowned. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity and perfect time for me to do this.
You won your title back in January. Obviously, this, like we said, will be your first defense. I always like to ask newly crowned champions after maybe they've had their title for a little bit, a few months, but maybe haven't defended it. How has your life changed, if it has changed, since you've become a world champion?
I mean, it's changed a little bit, yeah, for sure. Like there's some minor changes in terms of, the people that notice me now, the popularity, um, different treatment here and there. But it's expected. It's great, but it's something that I don't really let get to my head because I know I have a lot more work to do. I have like a lot of I have a lot more goals to accomplish in this sport of boxing. So um yeah, I don't really get caught up in that stuff too much.
Probably a good idea. Uh,
Yeah.
One of the intriguing elements of this particular show that Top Rank is doing is that it is, although going to be on DAZN like Top Rank's events are now, it will be the first edition of the new series called The Fight on TNT,
Mhm.
which means that not only, so people understand what that is, that means once a month there'll be a DAZN card that will be simulcast also on TNT. Um, what are your thoughts about having male championship boxing back on linear TV for the first time since the ESPN Top Rank deal ended last July, which was the card that you had a fight on when you won the interim title belt?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, this is amazing. It's still great. One of the main things that I strive to do is fight on big cards that are on, linear networks like this. More people get to see you work. That's how you'll have, more popularity that way. It's easier to grow it that way, and for me to be able to even have my first title defense on the first fight on, TNT Sports, with, it's perfect. I think it's a great lineup. ESPN, once the deal fell through, Top Rank, though it took a little while, they found their footing in terms of, you know, uh, getting this TNT thing done, getting this TNT thing done, and I'm just really super happy to be a part of it. I think that things like this adds more pressure, but I love it so much because I shine bright with the pressure. So it's kind of like it kind of fits for me.
Well, you mentioned about on the ESPN deal when that finished up. As I mentioned, you won the interim title
Mm,
in a dominating performance against Mateus Heita on that final show that Top Rank did at the Madison Square Garden Theater in your hometown
yeah.
of New York. Now, normally, when a champion would vacate the title, in the featherweight WBC case, it was Stephen Fulton who vacated the title. And normally, what the WBC would do is elevate the interim champion if there is an interim champion. So when Fulton became, vacated and decided to move up in weight, most people thought, okay, well, they'll do what they normally do and they'll elevate you to the full champion. But they didn't do that. Now, within their rules, they have the ability. They can do that, and they usually do. But sometimes they order that interim champion to fight the next contender for the vacant title. Um,
Mm.
they did that in this case. Had it when that was going on, and you knew, okay, Fulton's moving up, and they vacated the title, and I should now be the new champ. Were you like upset that they didn't elevate you immediately, and that you'd have to fight for the vacant title? How did you feel about that?
No, I didn't feel upset at all, to be honest. I'm one of those guys that I like to fight for my position. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it being handed to me. So once I was told that I would be fighting for the title, to be honest, that just added more fuel to the fire. It would have been kind of like not yeah, a little bittersweet if it was just handed to me, then I would just been fighting to just defend the title. I'm glad that everything happened the way it happened because that night was special. That night was electric. To the way I fought, the way I won, where I won it, like everything was the perfect. Everything just went perfectly for me
It
that
was
night.
like storybook stuff.
Yeah, very storybook stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
So just so folks know, you fought Carlos Castro, who was the mandated contender to fight you. You did the fight in January 31st at Madison Square Garden,
Yes.
on the undercard with a big time main event between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. It was a very big show. You scored a tremendous ninth round spectacular knockout that, by the way, we may only be about halfway through the year, but there'll be some folks that will think back to January and have that on their list of knockouts of the year, perhaps come
Yes,
into
sir.
this year.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so tell me what it meant for you then to win the title, to do it in absolutely spectacular fashion, to do it at home in New York in front of all of your people. You mentioned it was like storybook, but what did you feel in that moment when you realized you had accomplished what I am sure has been your lifelong goal as a boxer?
Man, I was ecstatic. Obviously, when I walked out the ring and I was on the apron, it was kind of like it was kind of an out of body experience. I it was just an overflow of emotion. It was something that I haven't felt in like ever in my life, and it was just, how can I say? It was one of those moments where it was like, wow, like I really did it. Like, but I always felt like a champion before I got the title. But the fact that I got the title the way I got it,
Is
it
that how
was,
you dreamed of it? Like I would think that you dream if you're a baseball player hitting a walk-off home run in the World Series, or if you're a basketball player making the big shot at the end of the game to win a big game. Was that like for you the ultimate dream to do it by knocking in front of the hometown in such sensational fashion?
yeah, but it actually happened better than I thought it would happen. Like, I didn't really think of fighting at home when it was happening. I didn't think of going through some type of adversity. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna go through any type of difficulty at all throughout the fight. Like, I wanted it to be, like, boxers, we want to win, um, kind of like as easy as possible.
Right.
And like, but I think the drama just made it that much more, how can I say, sweet. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you did dominate the fight though, pretty much.
Yeah. I know I did dominate the fight, but the fourth round, I had got a little buzzed, and I didn't, how can I say? I did not obviously expect that to happen, but I'm always prepared for things like this to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a champion, even if you get buzzed or get dropped or anything like that, it's about what you do after. And when I got up, I was kind of pissed. So I took a round off, got myself back together, and then I was just really let like my anger just kind of flow throughout round 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the ninth round was like the crescendo.
So suffice to say, doing it the way you did it, a lot better than being elevated and having a be like a paperwork transaction that you become the champion.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. I think that,
I'm happy to hear that.
yeah, I like to fight for mines, man. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I would have been, fine with it regardless. Being a champion, you get paid more, bro. It just is what it is.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's one of those things to where it's like I would value uh plastic medal that I'd fight so hard for more than a golden belt that was just given to me. When I didn't have to work hard for it. You just value it more. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you work so hard for it. That's just kind of what it is.
All right, so now you have Rene Palacios as your first challenger as the new champion. He's got an excellent record. He's 19-0-1 with 10 knockouts. A Mexican fighter, a few years younger than you, about 4 or 5 years younger than you. Um, Slim resume, but what do you know about him? What do you think about him, and how much? What do you think about the matchup itself?
The matchup is a pretty good matchup. I think that he'll challenge me and push me with my cardio, grittiness, because he likes to fight in the inside. He uses his size and his advantage as an advantage by fighting guys up close and using upper body movement to be very, just a moving target, being very mobile. Um, I like to see that in fighters because it challenges me, and then also me and him also have a similar opponent, in Sagawa.
Yeah, that would just so people know that was his last opponent in January. It was a split
Yes.
decision. You had a fight that was very tough against him. A couple of fights earlier than that,
Yeah.
uh, both got tough tests from him. What does
Yeah,
that mean in this fight?
definitely. So it's something that I like to match myself up against. I like to fight guys that with their heart in their sleeve. I don't like to fight guys that are kind of, how can I say, scary or whatever, or just intimidated before they even step in the ring. He doesn't give me that, And then on top of that, he's undefeated. So that is something that when a guy's undefeated and they have their own record, they don't want to lose it. So they have a certain level of pride, and it's kind of harder to break their will mentally. So I plan to do that though on January 4th. Excuse me, July 4th.
So you got a majority decision against Sagawa. He got a split decision against Sagawa.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that he can match up with you very well? That you had tough fights with the same guy?
Nah, styles make fights. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? We all know this, So I, I I don't see that happening at all. To be honest, even me in that fight with Sagawa, I had moments of immaturity that I've grown from and learned from since that fight. So I know what I did wrong. I know I could have done better in that fight. I totally was going against the game plan that my team had because I was looking for the knockout. You know what I'm saying? I had a whole knockout streak going on in New York around that time, and I was just trying to just do too much for the fans. But those are the growing pains you have to go through in order to become the champion I am today. And there's no excuse though. Sagawa did what he had to do to make the fight difficult as much as he could, and but yeah, I know for a fact now that if I was to get that fight again today, it'll be a total different story.
You mentioned a little while ago about how you have a lot of goals in boxing. I mean, obviously, one of them was to become a world champion. You have achieved that, as we discussed. What other goals are there?
Well, to be honest, after this next fight, man, I want to unify immediately. Like, I don't want to take too much time because there's not a lot of fighters that are in the featherweight division. There's not any fighter in the featherweight division that's been unifying their titles, and the all the sanctioning bodies have been occupied in featherweight division for some time now. Like every single belt has been occupied for a period of time now, and there's no fights that's going on. It's kind of weird, but I feel like for me, I'm like the guy that's gonna be able to, make that push for things to start happening. And after that, I want to become undisputed.
So let's go over the guys that are there besides yourself with the WBC title. Uh,
Mhm.
Two of the other fighters that have titles in the weight class are also associated with Top Rank. You have the WBO champion Rafael Espinoza, the IBF champion is Angelo Leo. Both have been involved with Top Rank, fight with Top Rank. You got an excellent champion, just won his title a few months ago, and Brandon Figueroa, a well-known fighter also. Uh, is there a particular wish list? Like, I mean, it would seem like a Top Rank fighter would be, a little maybe easier to make than maybe some of the other ones. Although these days with the way the promoters seem to be working with each other quite a bit, those issues have kind of gone away to some degree. What are your thoughts about how you'd like to go about achieving that goal of undisputed or unifying?
To be honest, this is first come first serve. I mean, I don't mind fighting any one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? I've talked to Brandon Figueroa, Angelo Leo, Espinoza, all of these guys, man, and they know I'm down to fight. I just
Are
really
they down to fight? Is the question.
that's the question. That's the question, and I think that they are. I just think their teams are being more strategic about that approach. You know what I'm saying? So uh, my team is ready to go. We're guns blazing with it.
It feels like you could take any of those four names of you guys that have the titles in this weight class, stick them in a hat and pull them out, and any of the permutations of the fights would be probably something that the fans and the people would be very interested to see. They're all, at least on paper, look like really interesting fights. What is your thought about that?
100%, 100%. Stylistically, we're all guys that we go for it. Brandon Figueroa, he's known. We've seen what he does with his aggression and his endurance and his tenacity. Then you have Angelo Leo. He definitely has a lot of tenacity as well. And then he has some shades in his game of boxing with his style. And then, you have the Fundora of the featherweights. I like to call him the Wimby of the featherweights now. But yeah, you have Rafael Espinoza, and he is like one of those guys that is obviously interesting to watch because he's so tall, but then he likes to get in there and fight, small with the small guys and gets the stoppages and, packs a good power punch and everything like that. I feel like at this moment, featherweight division is super hot. Like it's super hot, so
Great.
why not start mixing the melting pot, you know?
So while I think a lot of people would love to see that, I wonder from your perspective, I know you say you want to get these types of fights immediately. Obviously, you got to take care of Palacios coming up on July 4th. Are we going to see you in the featherweight division for a long while? Because a lot of times guys win titles, maybe they get another belt, and then they immediately look to move up to go to the next weight class. Sometimes they have trouble making the weight, this and that. Where are you at in terms of your thoughts about how long we're going to see you at 126, which, as you mentioned, very hot division right now?
I'm going to be the first featherweight undisputed world champ. So that is going to happen.
You're sticking around.
However long that takes to happen, I will be here.
I think that's a great place to leave it off, Shu Shu. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you nothing but the best July 4th.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You bet.